Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia. I am your host and a wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography. On today's episode, I'm chatting with Lana, who I'm pretty sure is our very first Southland bride from all the way deep down the bottom of New Zealand. We chat all about her love story, a very sweet engagement, deciding to get married on a family farm and living in a kind of remote region when it comes to wedding vendors, or just being able to have a wider selection to choose from and how she got around that. We hear all about the lead up to the day, her organisation and being savvy with some certain DIY aspects. What she used that was helpful, doing a lot of different research and shopping around. Lana has loads of recommendations and I love all the personalised details she put into her day. So let's get right into it. Enjoy episode 94 with Lana.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So to get started with, if you could just tell me a bit about you and your husband, how you guys met and your life together.
How we met's a pretty funny story. Well, it's an interesting story. So he was the best man and I was a bridesmaid at one of my best friend's weddings. We probably met about a week before the wedding, just saw the bridal party got together and we had a bit of a catch up at the pub for tea. Just said hello and that was fine. But on the actual wedding night, Elliot and I hit it off quite well. A few too many tequila shots at the bar. The rest was history, really. So, it's a bit of a running joke in our family about weddings. So, yeah.
Oh, so good. Love that you met through a wedding as well. Great story. So you were together for a while, then got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about the proposal story?
Yeah, so we have been together for just over 9 years. And the proposal story there, so we'd always talked about getting married. It was sort of something that we'd had a conversation about. We ran our own business together, we bought a house together, so it wasn't really a question of whether or not we weren't sure about each other. It was probably just life got in the way. I was probably a bit at him, when are you gonna drop a knee anytime soon? And he used to have this joke where he would say, I'll make sure I'll propose to you before you're 30. And I thought, oh, cool, great. The years keep ticking by and I was 29, my 30th birthday was on the Tuesday, and I'd just been away that weekend on a good friend's henster up in Wellington. Really big weekend, very tired, and I'd actually driven back from Christchurch. I'd been at a horse event. And so driven back from Christchurch on the Sunday night, got home quite late, had work on the Monday. But on the Sunday night, it's a bit weird. He was like, tomorrow night we're going out for tea. I booked us up for tea at the Saucy Chef, 6 o'clock. And I was like, oh, really? 6 o'clock's a bit early. I've got to go take a horse to the vet for something. And he goes, well, you can't be late, which is quite ironic coming from him. That was fine. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Can we push it to a little bit later? He said, no, they're booked out. The only time they've got available for 2 people is at 6 o'clock. And the alarm bell started to ring and I thought, it's Invercargill on a Monday night. They're not booked out at 6 o'clock. There's nothing on in March. And so I thought, maybe he's planning a surprise, birthday dinner or something. That was fine. Got home. I was early. I was ready to get changed. I got dressed in this beautiful outfit, these lovely white pants. And he's like, is that what you're wearing? Maybe dress a little bit casual. And I went, okay. Put a nice skirt on. He goes, nah, that's still probably a bit dressy. Why don't you go put some active wear on? I thought, why would I be wearing active wear out for dinner? And that's when I thought something's happening here. And he said, oh, no, we're actually going for a picnic. And so I was like, oh, yeah, right, okay. Is this really what's happening? Oh, we got a bit excited and went out to his parents' family farm. And he took me up the top of the hill where he took me on one of our probably first dates. It was funny, on the way out, I could see something in his pocket. And I thought, oh my gosh, is that the ring? And then he pulled out his AirPods case and set it in the middle of the truck. And I went, oh okay, whatever. And get to the top of the hill. And I was making a joke and ripping him out about how he first took me up here. and I turn around and here he is on one knee, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I kind of knew it was happening, but I didn't. And then it was there, and I was like, oh. He's like, will you marry me? And I was like, oh, I don't know, haven't really had like much time to think about it. But yeah, so it was a very, very special place for us. And yeah, it was a pretty exciting time. So yeah.
Oh, so cool. Love that. Kind of got the surprise factor, but yeah, so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Day before I was 30, so
Oh,
his claim to
just
fame
in
is that he
time.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And so you had a bit of time to think about things. Had you sort of started envisioning what your wedding would look like? Did you, have a kind of vibe in mind? What were those first steps, figuring out a venue, all of that?
I had a bit of a vision in my head around I wanted something that was clean, crisp, modern, fun, and but didn't really know where to start. We were lucky enough, we'd been to quite a few friends' weddings in the past couple of years and had a chance to look at what they were doing. And I went online and had a look at some different people, and I actually come across Hannah and Bowden Barrett's wedding online, and I thought, oh my gosh, like her wedding looked amazing. The photos of the black and the white, it looked like a lot of fun. Just a lot of the things that she did, I thought, oh my gosh, this is just absolutely stunning. I'd love to be able to do that. And so I started looking around at venues down here, and being in Southland, there's a very limited number of venues here, which are all beautiful, but didn't quite match the style that I was after. And so we went and looked online elsewhere, and nothing really ticked the box. And one of the special parts to Ellie and I's relationship is we spent a lot of time on his parents' family farm out in Tokanui, especially in the early years, and it means a lot to both of us, but in particular to him and his family. They're still farming out there, and so we thought, could we put up a marquee on the family farm and have it out there? Because one of the other really important things to us when we were looking is we wanted to be able to bring everyone together and have it so that people could stay. One of my best friends got married earlier in the year, last year, out at Border Lodge, and it was amazing. We went up on the Friday, the wedding was a Saturday, the day after on the Sunday, tidy up, leave and go home on the Monday, and just the energy of having everyone there and contributing and all setting it up and being that hungover the next day and doing it all again. It was just, I don't know, it was something that was really important to us, was having people be able to stay. So having it on the farm where you didn't really have a cut-off time and people could come and camp, bring their horse trucks, camper vans, that sort of thing. So that was where we started, and then the rest was online. Really, I started to look at different color schemes and what was timeless, what was going to last, what was not just in fashion for now, but was going to stand the test of time, really. So yeah, that was probably how we chose the venue. Yeah, and it was like, it's so special to get married in a place that means so much to you, and we go back and visit it. It's like we got married there, Yeah.
So special. Yeah, definitely another level when there's that meaningful element to it. It's not just somewhere that hundreds of people have got married. Really special to you. Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned a couple of things there, but what were your sort of top priorities, the most important elements for the day when you were planning?
Biggest thing for me, I say me because, I mean, let's be honest, when people get married, it's all about the woman, it's not really about the men. Yeah. The most important part, though, for both of us was fun. We really wanted people to have fun at our wedding, to enjoy it, not feel like they had to go from A to B, or that it was stressful. Like, I don't get stressed very easily, and I didn't want anyone else to have to feel that way either. So for us, we thought about, okay, what weddings have we been to in the last wee while? What did we enjoy? What didn't we enjoy? And we actually got to a point where there was a wedding we went to and they didn't have a sit-down meal. They just did rolling canapes or rolling food the whole night. And it was so much fun. We had the best time at that wedding. So we decided, you know what, we've got lots of friends. Elliot's part of a massive family. We're going to have a lot of guests. want to scrap the sit down meal altogether, because nothing worse, when you're at a wedding, you just sit down, you eat too much, and then you got to get up and dance again. It's so scrap that. Let's just have fun. Let's just have the food flowing all night. That way, there's no real strict timeline. It's sort of a bit more casual. So the important parts for me, other than obviously the fun aspect, was really good photography. So I wanted a photographer that was going to be able to capture all those important moments, and also have really good quality photos that we could look back on, but also fitted our vibe and what we wanted and who we are as people. And same with the videographer. We're looking at different videos, and we come across lots of fantastic videographers, but not what we wanted. Like, we wanted fun, energetic. Yeah. And so they were important to us. Food was really important. We wanted to make sure that we could utilize the supplies that we've got around us from on the farm and from friends and family, and food that we could catch that represented us and what we enjoy. Yeah, just make it a real fun party, I guess.
And yeah, can you tell us a bit about your wedding outfits, your dress? How was that process, finding it, getting it made? Yeah.
It was a process, I guess. So the main dress, so when I started looking, I didn't know what I wanted, and had no idea where to really start. So I just was on Pinterest and online and looked at things. And I originally thought I wanted like a big, like palace couture type dress with the split down the middle, real big train, and something just really like big and fun. And then a friend of mine, who was one of my bridesmaids, one of my best friends, we were going to Auckland for something. We thought, while we're up there, why don't we go wedding dress shopping just for a look? Went to a couple of places, tried on what I thought I liked, and no. Everyone said to me, the dress that you think you want is not what you'll get. And I was like, oh, whatever, like I know what I want. And yeah, tried on these dresses. I was like, oh, these are awful. And I went to a couple of different places, and I found that the dress buying process, the person that you're with, so obviously your friend is really important, but also the place you're buying it from, the energy that they bring. And I was lucky enough to stumble across Natalie Rose Bridal in Auckland, and the Pink Palace, as it's called, which is great because I love pink. And we arrived there, and the place was just amazing, but her energy was phenomenal. She is one of the most kindest people I've ever met. And I said to her, I was like, look, I want advice around what suits my body shape, my style, what looks good and what doesn't. And she gave it to me. She was fantastic. One of the things I said, look, I'm happy to try anything. Like, I'll put on anything, but I don't want strapless. Like, strapless doesn't look good on me. I've got broad shoulders, just no. Well, I ended up going with the strapless dress, didn't I?
Bless it.
Yeah. But it was, so I tried on a couple of dresses, and I knew it was the right dress when I come out of the changing room, and not only did I love it, but I looked in the mirror and seen my friend crying, who doesn't cry. And I was like, are you crying? She's like, no. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I looked back and was like, oh, wow. Oh, okay. That's incredible. And Natalie was amazing. We talked about the dress and what I liked and didn't like. And the dress originally had a corset back and was sleeveless, but I loved the feel of the corset, but I didn't love the look of it at the back. So long story short, we ended up getting Fritz and Sarah up there, who are also incredible, to alter the dress. And I told them what I wanted, and they were like, we'll have to think about that and how we're going to make it work. And so they managed to leave the corset in there and then put a zip in, so it had the corset at the back. And then they added these like drop cuffs. So they were just like push clipped buttoned type thing onto the sides around my arms, and did that. And that just transformed the dress into exactly what I wanted, which was really, really cool. On the wedding day, though, I did Hulk out of the sleeves as we were doing the dip midway down the aisle. That just popped off, and I went, oh, look, just take them off altogether. So, yeah, that was quite cool. But one thing was that I'd seen at a couple of weddings is people trying to dance in their wedding dress. One of my best friends that got married at the start of the last year, she ended up going to get changed into her pajamas because it was just too much to carry around. So I was like, right, I need a dancing dress. So I went around and looked for a second dress, found a second dress at Jessica Couture, which was just like a mini dress, complete opposite to what my main dress. No sparkles, very traditional, puffy, short, awesome, loved it. That was fine. When it arrived, I tried on perfect. And then I tried to practice part of our wedding dance in it. So our wedding dance, we went and got dance lessons, which a lot of people didn't realise until on the day. And part of our wedding dance, we did like the dirty dancing lift. I did a cartwheel. We did like lots of flips and things like that. So I tried to do a cartwheel on my dress, but I couldn't get my arms above my shoulders. So this is like 3 days before the wedding. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is an issue. Like, we can't change our entire dance. So what do we do? But luckily, for my hens do, had a white dress that I'd hired from Gore, and I knew that I could do cartwheels in it because I'd done it on the night of my hens do. So I was like, right, we'll have that as a backup. I'll try and get this dress altered so I can still wear it. If not, then I'll wear that for my dance and get changed into the other one later on. So I sound really out the gate, but I had 3 dresses in the end.
Nice.
Not by choice, but because I had
Gotta
to have
do
this
it.
third dress.
Yeah.
So no, very fun though. Like, yeah, it was cool having a second dress that you could just party in, and yeah.
Love that. And yeah, Nat and Fritz and Sarah are amazing. So you got the dream team there.
Oh, they're incredible, honestly. Yeah, just the energy and the advice. And I've been to some pretty cool and very nice wedding studios for dresses, but just she made it. She was the reason why I bought from her, and I buy from her time and time again. So
important, that energy, because it is quite like a vulnerable experience. It can be,
Yeah.
I think, just like, figuring out what you like, what looks good. Yeah. Amazing. And did you have a bridal party? And if so, how was that process choosing them? Did you find it quite easy?
Yes, we did. We each had 4, so 4 bridesmaids and 4 groomsmen. When you actually sit down and think, right, who am I going to choose? It is quite difficult because, yeah, you have a lot of friends and a lot of people that are close to you that you don't want to offend if they're not in your bridal party. And I probably did find that quite hard, but I'm lucky that I've got some really, really, really good close friends who, the ones that weren't in the bridal party, I tried to include them in some way anyway. But yeah, I had my best friend since I was a little kid as my bridesmaid, who just about had to be cut from the wedding party the week before because she broke her femur.
Oh no!
In a horse riding incident. But she was fine. She was crutching around on her crutches and had a wheelchair up the aisle and stuff. But it was quite comical though, because 3 weeks prior, one of my horses had reared up and smashed me in the face at a competition, and I had a black eye, like a broken black nose across here, and like all swollen lip, and broke my teeth as well. So
it's a dangerous sport,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. But we digress. Yeah. So and then I had another one of my best friends who I was her maid of honor at her wedding the year prior. Another friend who I'd actually met, we haven't been friends for years, but very, very close, who lives in the area. And then another very dear friend of mine who we were actually friends with at school, but our friendship probably grew a lot closer as we've gotten older and we live not too far from each other. So yeah, she's one of my best friends, and yeah, it was pretty special having them all part of my big day. So yeah, they play a massive part of my life. It was harder for Elliot, I think, choosing his groomsmen. He has a lot of very good close friends. His best man was not a hard choice for him. We like to call them boyfriends because they talk to each other every day on the phone. And we're neighbours, so that's, but the other 3, it took them a wee bit longer to actually pin them down and ask them. So yeah, but we got there in the end.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And what about the guest list? I guess you could kind of have as many as you want on a private property, but yeah, how was that process, narrowing it down? Was that hard?
Yeah, I tell you what, when you think you can name all of your friends and family and then you actually have to do it, it is a bit of a process. Our guest list was 180 people, where our invite list was 189 people, I think we invited. We could have invited more. There's probably people now that I'm like, oh, we should have invited them. But it just got to a point where like, this is too many people. It's going to cost a lot of money. Yeah, and people always say, like the people that come to your wedding over time, you just like look back and you actually go, oh, should I have invited them or shouldn't I? Bits and pieces. But when we looked at, we thought to ourselves, would we invite these people around for dinner? What have we seen of them in the last sort of 12 months? And what's our relationship like with them? And then obviously family as well. Elliot's part of a big family, but we wanted to be able to invite as many people as we could, but within reason. So, yeah, it was really hard going through the guest list and yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a big number to land on, but yeah, always interesting to hear that kind of frame of mind and how you narrow that down.
We actually had an engagement party / my 30th, and we invited a lot more people to that. And I'm not going to say it was a test, but it was to see who would come. It determined probably within reason, if they made the effort to come to that.
Yeah.
But, still be invited to the wedding type thing. So, yeah, but definitely a hard decision, and you can't invite everyone. And the guest list could have easily been probably 300 people.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Got to stop somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And can you tell us a bit about your big day, maybe a little bit leading up to it, how it all went, and any highlights or favourite moments?
Gosh, I'm a bit of a talker, so
Go for it.
This podcast can go for a while. But I love the wedding process, like planning process. Like I'm a big organizer. I like to be organized on time. I like to have everything go to plan. And so right at the beginning, when we started, we locked in a date and that sort of thing. I started researching all the people that we wanted to be part of our big day. And what sort of things we could do. So I locked in all the big stuff: photographer, videographer, our caterers, all those bits and pieces. And that was the littler things which you can't actually do until close to the time anyway. Timu was a great friend of mine closer to the wedding date. I got a lot of shit from people around. I got glow sticks from Timu, and they arrived and they were just like, you've got this beautiful, nice wedding with all these lovely, crisp black and white things, and then there's these polystyrene tubes. And everyone was like, what? What are those? Like, oh, really? But I tell you what, they were a big hit on the wedding night on the dance floor.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And people were throwing them around and just thought it was great. So, at Instagram, like I would save things on Instagram that would come up, and then obviously, the way the technology works nowadays, they hear what you say and all these things start popping up. So I would save anything that I found interesting, or that I'd be like, oh, I really want to do that on my wedding day, and I'd save it to my real highlights and then start thinking about things. Leading up to the day, what do we do? I have a dear friend who was also our MC, well, co-MC, and she had a wedding run sheet for her wedding the prior year. And so she sent me that, and then I adjusted it and added in this wedding time frame. So it was a timeline of pretty much the wedding week. So when all the girls were getting all their appointments, I booked all their tans and nails and bits and pieces, had where everyone was, who was doing what job. And with it being you're not at a venue, so you're on your own property having to organise things. When were things arriving? Who was picking it up? It was all colour coordinated, so the boys knew which was their jobs, the girls knew what they were doing, and everyone knew where everyone was at the time. Probably finalised it a bit late. I probably should have had it done a couple of days sooner than I did to send out to other family members, but I guess I kind of knew it was happening, so it was fine. Yeah, and then leading up to the day was getting all those appointments out of the way, trying to do as much as you could, watching the weather as well, being a outside ceremony. I didn't have a backup plan. It was going to be nice. It was going to be sunny, and we're having it at the top of the hill. So, yeah. Yeah. So leading up to the wedding day, it was all a bit of that. And we're so lucky. Like Elliot's family worked so hard to get their farm to like it looked picturesque. It was beautiful. A lot of hours went in by all family members. So he's one of 6 children, and they all pitched in. They were out on the farm. They were, chipping thistles, doing the garden. It was a real family sort of thing there, and bad time of year for me. I was away competing just about every weekend, horse riding and trying to organise all of this sort of stuff. So the farm wouldn't have been where it was without them. So we're so grateful. And then, a week before, making sure everything else was setting up and organising the marquee to arrive and the furniture people, which we're very lucky. We had Nichols and Co from Dunedin. So Rachel there, she's fantastic. I probably could have used her a bit more upon hindsight. I'm a little bit of a control freak, so yeah. But she did a floor plan of the marquee, and I said to her, I was like, look, I don't really know what I want, but this is my vision. I want a round bar. I want the bar in the middle of the marquee. We're having no seats, so you need to fill it up somehow. I want bar leaners. I want people to be able to sit or lean or do stuff. I want an outdoor area where people can go and play games, have fun. I want an outdoor bar as well. I want a dance floor. I want this, that, and the next thing. Yeah, and she was like, yeah, I've got you. You just tell me what you're thinking. I'll send you some ideas. And then she did a floor plan, made my floor plan for me and all the furniture in there, and then arrived the day before the wedding to set it all up for us, which was money well spent. Like, it was such a lifesaver. The day was incredible. The night before, we were still obviously setting up. We had tea at Elliot's parents' place, and my family come out as well, just for like a quick working tea. Did a rehearsal with our celebrant. Luckily, we did that actually, because where the original plan was, so you come up the hill and we're behind a set of trees, and then we're going to walk out and walk all the way down the aisle. We started, but the aisle would have been like, it was way too long. We thought, shit, what are we going to do here? We can't just drive in. But we did. We ended up, Dad drove us, and so we ended up driving and parking right at the start of where the seats are, and then getting out on opposite sides so people couldn't see us, and then walking down. So just as when we did that. And then we went home. So us girls, we stayed at a house in Fort Rose. A family we know, he's built it. They built a brand new house that looks out onto the estuary there. It is beautiful. And so I just said to them, do you think we could use your house to stay in the night before and get ready in? Because it would be perfect for photos. And they're like, yeah, okay, sure. So they moved out for us, and we moved in. So yeah, us girls went back there. It was probably quite late. I'd said already that the night before the wedding, we need to get a good sleep, go to bed early, rah. Did we do that? Absolutely not. We ended up staying up till about 1 o'clock in the morning. We had a couple of wines. We were yarning away. My bridesmaids, incredible bridesmaids, the night before brought out a wee gift box, and they, I can't see this, but they got me a wee necklace, gold necklace that's got the wedding date on the front, and it says "Love Your Bridesmaids" on the back, which was very cool. Mm-hmm. Wish I'd followed my own advice and gone to bed early, but we didn't. So that is probably my biggest advice for everyone: go to bed early. And the boys, obviously, they all stayed at a house on the farm. Not too sure what they got up to. I doubt they went to bed early either. But yeah. And so morning of, it was a very early start. So we did all of our photos beforehand, before the ceremony. So the ceremony was at 3 o'clock. And so the makeup lady, Lauren, she arrived at about 5:15 in the morning, which for me is fine. I'm always up at that time anyway. One of my bridesmaids in particular is not a morning person. So I scheduled her last on the rotation for hair and makeup. So they arrived, hairdressers arrived, we got up, and it was sort of the day, and the morning was pretty cruisy, really. Like, it was like, I was like, oh, cool, like, what now? Kind of ready, and yeah, it was a nice, relaxed morning. I was actually still writing my speech, so not the best from me, but it's all right. I was typing away while my hair was getting done, so it was all right. Yeah, we had a few wines and a lovely breakfast. that Elliot's cousin brought down. And then the photographer and videographers arrived, and we did some photos with the girls in their pajamas, and Mum was there, and it was really special. Elliot's mum come down as well to get her hair done. So the makeup artist couldn't do everyone, but the hairdressers could. So they did Kath, and then I organised another makeup person to go out to their place and do his mum's makeup instead, which was still quite nice. But she came and spent the morning with us, and then obviously into the dress and had a bit of a dance party, sing along, sort of hype ourselves up. And then the boys arrived, did a first look with Dad, which is funny because, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's quite emotional, the first look with your father and, you know, all that. And the videographer was like, right, we're ready to get this on video. It's going to be amazing. I was like, neither Dad and I, like, none of us were not really emotional, lovey-dovey people. Like, it's very awkward. Like, we're like, oh, yeah. And Dad walks in and he goes, oh, yeah, you look nice. I was like, yeah, thanks. Good. Right. Everyone was like, so I warned you, like, we're just not like that. But it was really cool. So yeah, we've got some photos, videos, all the boys come out and watched us, did our first look, which was quite cool. Photos and some champagne sprays, played Pink Pony Club, which all the boys loved. And then we went off for photos down at the beach. Well, Fort Rose Beach, but it was a bit windy, so the hair was sort of blowing everywhere and things. And then the boys left and went off to the wedding venue, and we hung around for a wee bit, and then Dad drove us to the farm. So when we were ready to go, and poor Dad had to listen to us singing horrific 90s bangers the whole way there, which was quite cool. But one thing that we did do, which it's kind of funny because I took the piss out of one of my friends. She had a content creator for a wedding. And I was like, oh, who do you think you are? You're a content creator? Like, come on. My words deny, because it got close to the wedding. I was like, okay, now I want a content creator. Because I seen all the videos and the behind the scenes stuff that they got. And I was like, oh no, but I couldn't justify it. We'd already blown the budget majorly. So I was like, no, I can't afford it. But one of Elliot's cousins, who's also a friend of mine, she is a photographer. And we didn't want her as our wedding photographer because we wanted her to be able to enjoy the wedding and, you know, not have to work for once, you know, actually go and participate. And she said to us, she's like, well, you know what? I could be your content creator if you want me to. Like, I would be more than happy to do that. And we're like, okay. So she came along and she was fantastic. She like fixed my hair, my dress, and got us to stand in the right places, worked in with Amy, the photographer and the videographer. And yeah, so she came along with us in the car ride to the wedding as well, and got some cool videos of us singing along, on the way to the wedding, which was pretty cool. The best part for me, like my favourite part, was actually standing at the end of the altar with Elliot. You know, everyone else is looking at you, but they can't really hear you, and we're just standing. Well, later he informed me, but I wish it was before, that he was mic'd up with the videographer. I was like, oh, cool. So what I was saying? Yeah. But when we got to the wedding, so we pulled in, that was fine. And it was like, right, we're about to start walking up the aisle. But my dress had slipped a wee bit because we'd been sitting in the car, so it slipped. So they had to unzip me, undo the corset, lift it back up, and then do me back up, and then zip me back up. That took probably about 10 minutes. In the meantime, Elliot had to sit down because Elliot's a bit of a fainter sometimes when it comes to like funerals, heat. Yeah. And so he had to sit down. And when I got up there, he goes, oh, what was wrong? I thought you were backing out. He goes, I had to have a sit down.
It's like, sweating a little bit.
Yeah, and it was hot. Like by that point, it was hot. Like the valley had turned on some great weather. But yeah, so we're standing out there, we're just joking away, enjoying it and having a bit of fun, and said our vows, which was pretty cool. And then walked back down, did a cool wee dip halfway when I hulked out of my sleeves, and everyone threw the confetti. And me being me, when I ordered the confetti, it was like, oh, you know, you probably just need one bag. And I thought, no, I'll order two just in case, like I want to have enough. There was confetti everywhere. Like the photo is just all confetti. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and then we had a little bit of mingling time. We were supposed to do a champagne tower at the end of the ceremony, but just the ground up there wasn't super flat, like it is a farm. So Rachel just made the executive decision, which was super smart, just to do it down at the Marquee. Yeah, so we mingled around for a bit, did some photos. We had canapes and drinks there. So we had the churches catering gore. They come and they started, dishing out some food for everyone. Just we nibbles and bits and pieces and drinks. Did all of our photos at the top of the hill under the archway. And then one thing that was for, I can't remember how long now, maybe an hour and a half or something, or an hour and a half maybe-ish. Then what we did is all the bridal party got into a car together, or two cars, and we drove down the hill to the Marquee. So the Marquee was at a separate, it was up to the hill was ceremony, down the hill, around the corner, to the Marquee. We went and we did like a first look of the Marquee. Someone had suggested it, maybe online actually, just like, there's the two of you and you get to go and see it without anyone else there. It was pretty cool. Like, it was really exciting, and everyone else was at the top of the hill, and we walked into the Marquee with our bridal party and looked around, and it was like, wow, like you see your vision come to life, and it's like, wow, this is so incredible. Like Rachel nailed it. Everything that I really wanted to do in the vision, she brought it to life. And we got to see our cake for the first time. So one of my good friends, Siobhan, she should be a professional cake maker, but she isn't. She does have a full-time job, but she made our wedding cake. And as extravagant as she is, she made a 4-tier wedding cake.
Wow.
Like, I had no idea what it was going to be and what it was going to look like. I was like, oh, you just do whatever. Like, I don't care. I've seen your cakes, they're incredible. And so we got to see that in the Marquee for the first time, which was very cool. In the wall and walk around, and then everyone else made their way back down to the Marquee, and we had more mingling times, more photos. Yeah, little wee things that I did on the day, like got photos of that. And then me and Elliot and I went away for like a quick couple of photos before we did our grand entrance. Well, grand entrance before speeches. And then speeches started for a while. All 4 of my bridesmaids spoke. I didn't just want one of them to speak. I wanted all 4 of them to speak at some point. And then Elliot spoke with one of his groomsmen. And then untraditionally, I spoke. So I guess there's a running joke in my family that I always have to have the last say. So I got up and did a speech myself. And I seen something really cool online, and probably resonated quite well, was, the mum, there's never really anything for your mum on the wedding day. Like, your dad, gets to walk you down the aisle and things like that. And so mum's been a massive part of my life, and she's always there to support me, day in, day out. At every horse show she's there, and, she spends her spare time, coming to watch me. So I dedicated my flower bouquet to her. And it's funny, I'm not an emotional person. Like, it's very rare that I cry. I don't know if it was the fact that I'd been drinking or what it was, but as I started in my speech, I started crying, and I was like, oh, this is so bizarre, but it was really special and really cool. Very cool to do that for mum, and I think mum really loved that, and she's get my flowers, all of our flowers were fake flowers. Our florist was my best friend's, who was one of my bridesmaids. It was her auntie, and she says that she's a retired florist, and she came out of retirement for me. But yeah, she did all of our flower bouquets, they looked incredible, but they were all fake. They were all silk flowers, which meant it didn't matter about the heat. And it meant that, mum can now keep my bouquet forever. So that was quite cool. And then I quickly ran and we cut the cake, and then I ran and got changed in my friend's horse truck, quickly got changed into my second dress, my dancing dress, and then ran back out. And so one of the cool things that we did, so I love money shots. It's a shot, like an alcoholic shot. It tastes like banoffee pie. And so when we were younger, we'd always go to Queenstown, and that was kind of like the shot that we would get. And so I was like, I want money shots at my wedding. And this was like on top of all the other ridiculous stuff that I'd already done. And everyone's like, oh, okay. So one of my other good friends, who wasn't part of the bridal party, she used to make them when she worked at a pub. So that was her job. She was on the money shots. So just as the dance was started, 150, I think, money shots where shot glasses come out. So everyone did a money shot. We did our dance. I got to have a shot in the middle of my dance, which was really cool. And then the sun was setting and we were just about to miss sunset. And our photographer, Amy, was like, we've got to go.
Classic.
So, yeah, I was like, oh, right, okay. So I sprinted back to the truck, got changed into my actual second dress, so now my third dress, and we jumped in the car and we sped away for sunset photos, which I think we did miss sunset, but the photos still looked pretty epic. And then come back and continued the party with our amazing band. So danced the night away.
So cool. Such an epic day. Yeah, cool to hear all those highlights. I love that you did the first look in the marquee. I feel like a lot of couples don't get to see it before, especially if you're not getting ready at like the same venue. Then you don't see it till there's like bags and phones and crap everywhere and people. So nice to have that moment. And yeah, I love that you like honored your mum in your speech, or just like it's not often that you have moments in life where you get to kind of honor your special people. So very cool. But yeah, so many highlights in there. Love it. What did you find the hardest part about the whole wedding planning process? Is there anything you look back on and regret or would have done a little bit differently?
I have one regret probably, and that is that we didn't get enough photos with friends and family or couples. We had been, but we were given this advice beforehand. Like people are like, oh, like, try and, well, we didn't get photos with so and so, try and make sure you get photos. And we're like, yep, yep, yep. But on the day, you're so overwhelmed, and because it was hot, we're standing there like smiling away, and you're like, right, I'm sick of this now. And it was like you just wanted to go and socialize and have a drink, and you'd been through photos all morning, all afternoon, but we missed out on getting photos with likes of our bridal party and their partners, such like that sort of thing. So I wish we'd taken more photos with our friends and family on a more one-on-one basis rather than just like a big group. Yeah, that was probably one of our biggest regrets, was that. But we've still got some epic photos, so we can't complain. I would probably say if anyone's planning a wedding at home, like on your own farm or property or anything, it is a lot more work than what you expect. And it's a lot of pressure, not just on yourselves, but on everyone around you. We had our friends and family helping us before and after the wedding was set up. We'd had a very, very, very wet spring down here in Southland. So, yeah, it was, the ground conditions probably weren't the best, a lot of pugging and as a farmer, it was quite hard to sort of try and get out and do bits and pieces. So a lot of pressure on Elliot's family more than anything. My family was so busy with their business and what was going on in their lives as well. I know that, Mum had said that she wished she could have come out and helped more, but they just weren't able to at the time. So it's just something to keep in mind, is the pressure that you put on your friends and family. Yeah, we were so grateful to have them, and we probably haven't said that enough. I don't know that I'd do anything else differently. Like, I loved our day. I'm pleased we had a videographer. We haven't had a video back yet, but I know it's coming. They weren't far away, but everything is such a blur. Like I say to people, I don't really remember much about my wedding, and no, it wasn't because I was drunk, but it just disappears. Yeah, I'm very, very pleased that we went and got dance lessons. It was actually Elliot, not me, initially, that said, like, we've got to nail our dance. So it was very cool to go in. We did about three dance lessons, I think, 3 or 4, with our band. We had Jet Set, and Jason and his wife, they do dance lessons. And we went there, and I was like, right, I've got a really cool vision in mind for our first dance. So I want to do some flips and I want to do some lifts. And he was like, wow, you're crazy. He's like, not very many people just want to come and they want to do like a basic waltz. And I was like, let's do that too. So, yeah, poor Elliot. I was like, right, throw me up on your shoulders sort of thing. And
got to make an impact.
It was just a bit of trial and error. And then you'd see things online, like on TikTok or Instagram, of people doing these cool dances, and it looked real easy, and then we'd practice it, and it was like, oh. So, very pleased we did that. Not really any regrets as such. I'd love to do it all over again.
Yeah.
It was very, very cool. Yeah.
so interesting to hear about the photos. It's such a hard point because it is kind of punishing going through this very long list and standing there for so long, but then you want photos with so many people. But yeah, if you can kind of get them candidly, I guess, as well.
One thing that I just remembered is we haven't actually got the audio back yet, but I cannot wait to hear it. Is we had an audio guest book on from Nichols and Co. in Dunedin. So we had an audio guest book that people could just pick up the phone and leave messages on, which is quite cool. But we also had a Polaroid camera, a couple of Polaroid cameras for people to take photos, and there is some really, really cool ones. Some very interesting photos too that have made the book. And
some
like I said to those people,
as people drink more through the night.
Yeah, but I said to them, I was like, sorry, it's going in the book. It's a memory. So you took the photo.
Evidence, no?
Yeah. And I got a mirror. So I wanted a new mirror, like a full length mirror at home. And my justification was, let's use it for the part of the wedding. So we got on it was like L&E, our wedding date. You look beautiful, see you on the dance floor, and like black sparkly sticker, and then hashtag Marshall wedding. And so that was quite cool for photos. It actually turned out way better than I thought. And I can't really take credit for putting the stickers on it because one of my bridesmaids, Brownie, she is very arts and crafts. She's arts and crafts queen. So she did all that. We did these, the Love Heart sunglasses that you get from Temu. I ordered probably about 180, 200 odd sunglasses, half black, half white. And at her family Christmas, they spent the Christmas putting stickers on the sunglasses, the L&E, and then the wedding date. So, yeah.
Did you guys have a wedding budget? If you're happy to talk about that, what it was, how did you find that whole process? Did you blow it a little bit? Yeah, how was that?
We set a budget of 50,000. We thought, yeah, look, that's plenty of money. We've got a lot of things coming up. We don't really want to spend too much more. I'm quite good at spending money if I want to. So Elliot sort of had to pull the reins back a wee bit from time to time. I don't know what we ended the final. I stopped adding things up. So I used an Excel spreadsheet and I put everything in there. So I only got quotes for everything and compared them all and was like, righto, what's going to be cheaper or better value for money? But that right early on, we realised that we were going to blow the budget because when you add in a photographer who is out of town and videographer also out of town, and then you think about your guest list. So you go, righto, okay, how much is it going to cost to feed them? And then how much for booze as well, considering we're catering both days. And then the marquee, and it was like, well, I'm just about at that 50 grand already. So how's this going to work? So we probably were about 20 odd grand over budget, maybe even more. But yeah, I'm pleased that we took note of it because I could have spent more. One of the things that I have said to people since is think about the weddings you've been to in the last sort of 12 months or whatever. What do you remember the most? What are things that stand out for you? You know, do you remember the decorations? Probably not. You know, do you remember the food? Probably. You remember how much fun you had. So for me, that's why I went with fake flowers, for example. You know, like I've got friends who spend a lot of money on flowers, and I was like, yes, they look pretty, but I didn't really notice them that much. So that was a bit of a cost saving for us. You know, signage and bits and pieces. It was like, right, well, what can we do ourselves that could save us some money? The same with decorations. Like, you don't really remember decorations, but you can do things that still make things look elegant and nice and visually appealing. So, you know, just think about other ways to do things in that space.
Yeah, such good advice. You could just like never stop, honestly, all the like bits and bobs and extra things you can spend money on. But yeah, that's a pretty normal budget for that size guest list, I would say, as well, and doing it all on your own property and everything. So yeah, even though you kind of blew it, it's still like impressive. Justify it for you, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, good.
Did you guys go on honeymoon straight away? What did planning that look like?
No. So we got married on the Friday. day after thing Saturday, pack up was Sunday. And so Sunday night, Elliot and I went to this, it's a new, I want to call it like a canopy camping type place out in the Tokanui area. Christian Logan Simpson have got called Fern Hut. So it wasn't quite finished, like the outdoor area wasn't quite finished when we stayed, but we were the first people to stay there, which was pretty cool. So we went there at night time and just spent the night there, just the two of us, and went through our cards and stuff and just, reminisced on the wedding day and, I remember that and what about that? And yeah, and so we spent there, and then the next day we went back to the farm and tidied up and took stuff back to town and bits and pieces. And then on the Wednesday, I actually left and went to Christchurch with my 3 horses to compete at nationals. And so that was kind of my honeymoon was, hi, nice to marry you, but I'm away. But we are hopefully planning a honeymoon in June this year. So yeah, it was like, righto, get through the wedding, save a bit more money, and that time of year is quite a time for us. So yeah, it makes sense to go then. So yeah.
Nice to have that to look forward to and escape the New Zealand winter for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Upon reflection, I kind of think that it would have been nice for us to maybe go away for a few days by ourselves. You try and stay, and this is what I say to everyone, is you try and spend as much time together at your wedding as possible. Otherwise, you can find yourself, you get married and then you go your separate ways. I've seen it quite a lot, and that was important to both of us, that we sort of tried to stick together as much as possible. But, if we could have spent a bit longer away together, it would have been nice to remember stuff and just enjoy that wee honeymoon phase for a bit longer. But, yeah, life sort of gets in the way and things come up. So, yeah.
Did you have any kind of helpful resources that you used during the process? You mentioned a few things already with like Instagram and then your Excel spreadsheet and stuff. But yeah, was there anything else that kind of helped finding vendors or inspo? I can imagine it's like a little bit isolated down there and you had a few out of town vendors. Was that quite a tricky part of it?
Yeah. I've got quite high standards, and I was very picky on what I wanted for certain things. And I had looked online and tried to find like a wedding checklist or something. And at the end of this wedding, I was like, I'm going to make my own lemon website, but haven't done that yet. But anyway,
Let us know if you do.
yeah. I was like, I just need someone to do this, and this, and it just makes it easier. But we used what's called Say I Do, I think. Say I Do for the wedding invites. We sent out save the dates early. Thank goodness, because we took forever to do invites. And so we just ended up doing electronic invites rather than like hard copy ones. We did hard copy save the dates, which was with so a friend of mine designed them, got them printed here in Invercargill, and then I got a magnetic strip from like the $2 shop, and I stuck a magnetic strip on the back so people could stick it to the fridge. And that was quite cheap. That was great. So it was a good idea. So use the Say I Do website. Obviously Instagram. We use Temu for a lot of stuff. I use personalized favors for the men's. We like whiskey glasses, so we use that. And yeah, Excel spreadsheet is my favorite. I had all these tabs and different bits and pieces. But when we were looking for vendors or like your key parts, for example, I'd actually never heard of Amy, our photographer. I had a couple of photographers in mind that I really wanted, but they were booked out. There was another couple who I loved their work. It was incredible. But actually, when I talked to them, it was just, I didn't get the right feeling from them. They just didn't feel like they fitted our vibe and what we're after, which was a bit of a shame. And then we had, yeah, it was. And I'm pleased I stuck with my gut, because then we were referred Amy by, we originally had Zach from Flat Rock Films for our wedding video. But turns out it was actually his 10-year wedding anniversary, so he thought he'd better not miss that. So it was smart. But from him, he put us on to a couple of different people, and one of those was Amy. And Amy was fantastic. She fitted the vibe so well. She was so much fun. And then Zach actually also put us on to Bad Panda Productions for our video, who at the start I kept telling everyone it was called Fat Panda because we've got a place in Queenstown called Fat Badger's Pizza. And so anyway, no one could find them online, but yeah. So yeah, but a lot of it was word of mouth, and then same with the marquee. I knew what I wanted marquee wise. I wanted a black framed clear marquee, and we've got friends who own stretch tents down here in Invercargill, and they are amazing tents and so cool to work with. But I had a vision and it wasn't quite what I wanted. So I just kept searching and ended up finding a place called You Gather in Queenstown. And the Campbell and the team there were fantastic to deal with. They came down, they set it up, packed down, yeah, easy to deal with. So research is so key. Look online, look around, talk to people, ask, who did you use and that sort of stuff. And hair and makeup, well, hair was easy. I used my hairdresser. Makeup was, hard. You had to look around. We originally had a different date, so the person I was going to use wasn't available. So then I had to try and find someone else, and then we ended up changing a date. Yeah, so research is so important and keep track of it. But start early on those big things because people get booked out and then you can't get what you want.
Great advice there. You've given a lot of amazing advice already. But yeah, is there any other nuggets you would say to a couple that are planning their wedding at the moment?
Know that you're going to spend more than your budget. It's like I've worked in the finance sector for a long time, and people used to always come in and say when they're building a house, no, we're going to stick to budget. I've never seen a house we built to budget. Like, you're not going to. And as much as you think you will, you won't. But the reason why I say that is because it can be really hard for people who, you might have a budget, and if you go over that amount, it's going to put a lot of strain and pressure on your relationship, and financially you might not be able to afford it. So when you are budgeting, do have a buffer in there to know that, no, you can't just go and spend that, but it's actually okay if you do go over, or you've got a plan for it. Yeah, because things do add up, and it's the small stuff, it's the things that you want to do for your bridesmaids and groomsmen, the little wee details. It's the stuff you end up getting from Temu that all adds up. Your glow sticks might be $100, but then you're on there and you find all this other stuff that you want to do. Or you come up and you decide that you want a slushy machine for the next day for your day after. So, all that stuff adds up. So just prepare for it. Yeah, shop around. Don't be afraid to ask people as well. Is there any way we could do this cheaper? If we offer people to help set up, or is there anything else we can do? The best thing that I think we did, although we probably should have communicated a little bit better with Nichols and Co, was around so they were cleanup crew almost. So before they left on the wedding night, they tidied up as much as they could, put rubbish away. We supplied all the places for rubbish, but they did all of that. And then the next day, the plan was for them to come back and tidy up the marquee, get everything all wiped down, ready to go for the day after. Probably a little bit of communication around timing. They would turn up a little bit later than what we would have liked, but we never actually agreed on the time. So communication's really, really important. Make sure you've done that. But there's nothing worse than being hungover and then having to rely on yourself plus your friends and family to then clean up if you're having a day after function. So if you can have people that come in and do that, that's fantastic. And plan the day after. I kind of left that up to the boys a little bit. Yeah, the barbecue arrived a little bit late because we realised that no one had actually gone and got it. So, yeah, lunch was a little bit later. Don't overcommit yourself. When I was doing the wedding run sheet, it was like, Alex, I'll go and do that. I'll go grab the barbecue. I'll go and do that. And I was like, you can't. Like, if we lock that takes half an hour. That's another half an hour. You're going to spend 10 minutes talking to Joe Blogs. So, you're not going to have enough time to do all this. So make sure you delegate jobs to people that are willing to help. Get things there earlier than you need to. And like probably the first thing, what's important to you? What do you want out of the day? It's your day. It's not everyone else's day. Stay true to your values and what you appreciate, and just remember to spend time, the two of you together. yeah, don't stress about the small things. You can't, on the wedding day, you can't change it. They spelled Elliot's name wrong on the wedding sign. They spelled it with one T instead of two. But I was like, shit, what are you gonna do about it? You can't change it. I was like, just get a black vivid and put another T on. They were like, you can't do that. I was like, oh well.
Funny story after then. Yeah, just have to go with
Yeah,
it, don't you? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Poor Rachel. She was like, "Oh, Lana, I've got some bad news." I think she was like worried how I was going to react. She told me, and I was like, "That's all right. Like, put some flowers over it, get a permanent mark. It doesn't matter. It's fine." She was like, "Oh, okay." So, yeah.
Oh, so good. So much amazing advice in there. And what is the married life like now? Do you feel like you got any of the post-wedding blues?
Wedding life is no different. It is exactly the same as it was before, except now I'm a missus. I've got another ring on my finger, which is always quite exciting. But no, yeah, I think we do have a bit of the wedding blues, as in you spend so long in the lead up to your wedding and you get so excited, and then it all goes by so quickly. I'm pleased we made a weekend out of it, and I'm pleased that we had it so that people could stay at the wedding, rather than having to leave and then come back. But yeah, like I'd love to do it all again, not pay for it, but plan it all again. Like I love the planning process. Yeah, but I think once we get all of our photos and videos back and we make time to go through all of those again, it'll bring back those memories, and it's pretty exciting. And we've just got our thank you cards. I got thank you cards made, and once we start going through that, it'll be quite exciting again. But yeah, no different really.
Amazing. It's been so lovely to chat to you today. Is there anything else you wanted to add or that we missed as we wrap up?
Oh, look, there's so much stuff that you could talk about. And like I said, like I could talk for hours. And I probably have missed something, but I did think, I've had a lot of people reach out and ask me questions, and even like basic things like what treatments did you do before the wedding, to bits and pieces. But I think I'll probably do some Instagram stories and pop them up around tips and tricks and the places that I went to for stuff and the different treatments out there. Because I tell you what, when you're wedding planning and you start thinking about like beauty treatments, you start looking, and being in little old Invercargill and you're in Auckland, you're like, what is that? So yeah, there's lots of big things in the big wide world. But like it's been great to talk about the wedding again. It's just, but yeah, it just brings back lots of memories, which is exciting, and just reminds me how grateful I am to all of our friends and family and all the work that they put in. And yeah, obviously grateful to my now husband, as well. So yeah, he put up with my vision and put in a lot of hard
Keep
work.
him.
So yeah, he's
Yeah.
a good boy.
Yeah. Oh, so good. I'm pretty sure you're our first Southland bride, so
Oh,
so good. But yeah, I think people are going to love this episode and get a lot out of it. So thank you so much for sharing.
that is no worries. So hopefully it doesn't rattle on for too long. Like I didn't talk for too much and
No,
answered all your
you're good.
questions. And yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I love helping people. So yeah, like if I started listening to your podcast actually when as soon as I got married, engaged, and I started listening to it. I'd be on the treadmill at the gym, and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, right? Okay, and started taking down notes. So yeah, I like if I had followed more people that would have been like, right, this is what we did and this is what we wouldn't do. And, like it's just so helpful for people, I think. So, yeah,
Cool. So good to hear. Amazing. Thank you so much.
there is no worries at all. I have really enjoyed it.